The fog that blankets Ebisugaoka isn't just obscuring vision, it's suffocating identity. Silent Hill F takes the franchise's psychological horror to 1960s rural Japan, where conformity isn't merely expected but violently enforced through tradition, family, and even divine mandate. You step into the shoes of Hinako Shimizu, a young woman whose rebellions against society create real monsters that transform her mountain town into a nightmare where Japanese folklore collides with personal trauma. At the surface, you navigate Hinako's resistance to an arranged marriage designed to clear her family's debts, but beneath that struggle lies something far more insidious. The pressure to become the ideal Japanese woman of the 1960s doesn't just come from Hinako's abusive father or her broken mother who surrendered to the same fate decades ago. It emerges from friends who whisper that marriage is the only path to happiness, from a society that shuns girls who play too rough with boys, and eventually from gods themselves who claim Hinako was born to fulfill a predetermined role as a divine bride. Welcome back, my name's Wick, and today we're going to examine how Silent Hill F explores conformity. The game opens with Ebisugaoka drowning in gray. As the camera pans across this waterlogged world, the lost song begins to play, a song about a bride's tears and the obligation to marry, directly mirroring Hinako's arranged marriage that sacrifices her autonomy. The melody is adapted from The Bridal Doll, a 1920s Japanese folk song whose original lyrics describe a bride weeping during wedding preparations, with warnings not to stain her kimono with tears. By adapting this traditional song, Silent Hill F immediately establishes its central themes. The original focus on maintaining appearances despite emotional pain becomes symbolic foreshadowing of Hinako's journey as an unwilling bride. We are dropped into the Shimizu household where conformity isn't just expected, it's violently enforced. Your father is drunk and angry. He's berating you for failing to meet his standards of what a daughter should be. This opening establishes the suffocating dynamics of the Shimizu household, where your father represents the archetypal patriarchal husband, demanding, severe, and domineering, while your mother has become passive to the point of cowardice. The scene carries extra weight when you understand that your father has already decided to marry you off to clear the family's debts, treating you as a commodity rather than a person with agency. Your older sister Junko, once your only protector in this household, has already escaped through the socially acceptable route of marriage, leaving you alone to face your parents' expectations.
Hinako! How dare you speak to your parents like that?
Dear, please calm down.
This Junko knows how to show some respect. Why the hell can't you be more like her?
Junko was the only person you could rely on for companionship and protection, but this changed once she got married and left home, leaving you drowning in resentment. Junko told you the quickest path to happiness is following society's expectations for women: marriage, submission, acceptance. You remind her of when you were children and she'd show you the correct way to solve puzzles, but you found deeper satisfaction in discovering alternative solutions. Even if they took more time, they were yours. The same principle applies now. Her efficient path to happiness through conformity might work for her, but you need to find your own way, even if it means taking the difficult route through fog and uncertainty. Her departure from home represents both betrayal and inevitability. She conformed to escape, abandoning you to face the same pressures alone, and now everyone expects you to follow her path.
Here, this is for you.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
Flashbacks scattered throughout reveal a painful transformation that conformity demands. You were once a cheerful kid, but due to the pressure of expectations pushed on you by friends and family, you became more restrained, and you reminisce about your past where friends rejected you because you played with boys too much. You discarded your doll when you were young because it was associated with girly behaviors. This doll is significant because you encountered the doll throughout your adventure. It delivers ominous warnings that reveal the fractured psyche you're experiencing through Hinako's perspective, where your childhood innocence attempts to protect you from manipulative forces that have already taken hold. Your journal entries depict you as highly individualistic, despising having decisions made for you, yet every aspect of your life has been predetermined by others. Your mother embodies the ultimate tragic tale of conformity. No matter how abusive her husband is, she never stands up for herself or her children. She represents everything you fear becoming, a woman so thoroughly broken by societal expectations that she can no longer resist even when your father screams in her face, throws bowls at her, and sends her out for alcohol late at night. And notably, her passivity is implied to have been recent, as she used to protect you from him when you were a child. The Shimizu family was believed to be cursed. Both Junko and Yu had arranged marriages. This curse serves as a metaphor for how conformity presents itself as tradition and destiny, something inevitable and inherited rather than imposed. Your father's financial failures become your burden to bear, and his solution requires you to sacrifice your autonomy for the family's social standing. Your diary reveals that you know your father struggles with the pressure of societal norms of what a father should be, and that he had his life savings stolen by a friend, but you refuse to accept either explanation as a reason for why he continues to treat his family like trash. After the confrontation with your father about the arranged marriage, you seek refuge with your only remaining connections, Shu, Rinko, and Sakuko. The quartet of high school students does as any wayward teen would do to escape the angst they have been harboring, gathering together in defiance. Yet even within this small circle of rebellion, conformity's poison has already taken root. You and Shu have been friends since childhood, but with the inevitability of puberty hitting you both, your feelings grew more complicated, and Japanese culture stigmatized male and female friendships, where you were shunned for acting more like a boy than a girl. Interestingly, you have a masculine speech pattern in the Japanese script, showing how you're actively trying to reject the feminine roles. However, English lacks differences in gendered speech, so this nuance is lost in localization. Shu comes from a family of physicians and carries himself with the quiet confidence of someone who believes that knowledge can solve problems, but his solution to your suffering will prove catastrophic. He goes out of his way to ensure he will always be around to protect you, fulfilling a promise he made to your sister, Junko. The tension within your friend group mirrors the larger pressures crushing you from all sides. Shu gives you a herbal remedy, depicted as red capsules, to help with tension headaches. The headaches themselves are manifestations of the unbearable pressure you're under, your body literally rebelling against the constraints placed upon it. Originally prescribed with the intention of getting rid of your tension headaches, those very pills would have a more nefarious side effect.
Well, that's my Hinako. It's not like you to just let stuff happen, though. But whatever you end up choosing, you know I'll always be there for you.
Shu.
Rinko cannot hide her infatuation with Shu, nor can she hide her open discomfort with seeing him around you. She takes most chances she has to grab onto Shu and stay close to him, even if it might mean physically hurting you in the process. Her jealousy manifests through small acts of violence disguised as accidents. Sakuko, whose family manages the local shrine, represents yet another form of social expectation. She's been ostracized for various odd tendencies, including her childish fear of the dark and seeming sensitivity to the supernatural. Even you privately wish she'd get out of her supernatural phase. After trying the herbal remedy for the first time, Ebisugaoka is engulfed in a thick fog and red spider lilies consuming the town. The red spider lilies in Japan are associated with death and final goodbyes, blooming impossibly across every surface of the town. These flowers traditionally mark the boundary between life and death, and their sudden proliferation signals that the town has become a liminal space where your psychological trauma bleeds into reality. The fog itself operates as both concealment and revelation, hiding the familiar world you knew while exposing the horror that always lurked beneath your town's peaceful facade. The group is shocked at the horrifying sight of Sakuko's body sprouting buds and tendrils of the spider lilies, covering her from head to toe and leaving her dead on the ground in a matter of seconds. Her death isn't just tragic, it's transformative, as when you return to the area later after escaping the fog, Sakuko's body has been consumed by the flora, with the red stems rising and writhing from her skin. The manner of Sakuko's death carries devastating symbolism within the context of conformity. She literally becomes one with the death flowers, her individuality consumed and replaced by something beautiful yet horrifying. After Sakuko dies, you circle back and lay her body to rest underneath some tarp at the general store's shelves of candy jars. Since Sakuko wished her parents ran a candy store instead of the local shrine so she'd have all the candy she wanted to eat. Even in death, you honor her dreams that went unfulfilled because of family obligations. The first monster you encounter in the fog-shrouded streets are grotesque doll women stitched together with unnaturally jerky movements who chase you through the alleyways. Their name means noisy or boisterous, referencing the Japanese proverb, when three women gather, it is noisy, and their multi-female composition embodies this cultural stereotype of women's group dynamics as overwhelming and chaotic, and you, as a woman who refuses to be quiet about your fate, become their target. The monster establishes the game's pattern of using culturally specific monsters to enforce conformity. You escape, but the town has become overrun by monsters. While avenging Sakuko's death, you lose consciousness and awaken in the dark shrine. There, you're greeted by a figure wearing a traditional fox mask who speaks with unsettling familiarity. Fox Mask declares he shall save your soul by claiming the life of your own self, a promise that sounds like salvation, but functions as possession.
And laid claim to my soul. In turn, I shall save your soul by claiming the life of your own self.
The dark shrine itself exists as a twisted mirror of Shinto religious spaces where sacred rituals become tools of transformation and control. Fox Mask guides you through this realm with the authority of someone who owns it, manipulating the environment through ceremonies that blur the line between worship and subjugation. You often note how controlling he is, remarking that you don't need to think or act because he will make your choices for you. This dynamic mirrors the arranged marriage waiting for you in the real world, a relationship where your agency is systematically stripped away under the guise of protection and provision. The truth about Fox Mask's identity reveals layers of manipulation spanning years. He's revealed to be your arranged fiancé Tsuneki Kotoyuki, someone you knew as a child before he moved away. You learn from one of the memories that the boy was bitten by a fox, and you rushed to help him, but you also protected the animal. An act of childhood compassion that would seal your fate. The deity possessed a boy after biting him in a park, and from that moment the boy you knew ceased to exist. After that, Kotoyuki moved from the town, but he still exchanged letters with you. However, he was already a different person, possessed by the nine-tailed fox god of Ebisugaoka. Therefore, the arranged marriage your father orchestrated wasn't just selling you to clear debts. He was unknowingly feeding you to the manifestation of divine power. Your father probably remembers Kotoyuki, the boy who was bitten and moved to join the rich Tsuneki family, and figured he'd hit the jackpot. The split between the fog world and the dark shrine represents your fractured psyche trying to process this impossible situation. In the town's fog, you resist and fight against the monsters that represent conformity's violence. But in the Dark Shrine, another version of you begins to accept Fox Mask's guidance, participating in ceremonies that gradually transform you into what he wants. He offers structure when your world falls apart, guidance when you're lost, and most dangerously, he offers meaning to your suffering by framing it as purification. The Dark Shrine sequences reveal how conformity operates through ritualized violence disguised as tradition. Fox Mask doesn't force you at knife point. Instead, he guides you through ceremonies that you participate in willingly, each one stripping away more of your original self. You awaken in Shu's arms but realize Rinko is not with him. You head northeast to Rinko's house. Along the way, you must solve a scarecrow puzzle. Scattered behind a faceless scarecrow are dormant Ayakakashi, which are scarecrow-like entities, each with a thorn-like flashcard embedded in their side. Finding the right scarecrow to progress means distinguishing between those that will guide you forward and those that will attack for disturbing them. Generally, in your journal entries, you describe enemies not with fear or hatred, but with empathy, recognizing them as fellow victims. You write about the stitched-together girl wondering if she wants to hurt me the way she was hurt, the chained one that looks like it was chained and tortured, and the blade-legged creature asking, did someone sever its legs so it couldn't get away? The scarecrows in the fields aren't just obstacles, but representations of people planted in place, unable to move, forced to stand watch over traditions that destroyed them, and you see yourself in every single one. After solving the fields puzzle, you approach Rinko's house with Shu and reunite with Rinko. You all notice the bridge leading out of town has been mangled, and you plan to escape via a small mountainside path behind Shu's house. As the group begins their journey out of the monster-ridden town, you are pushed down the stairs, sending you back into the Dark Shrine. Even this brief reunion is tainted by violence, as Rinko's jealousy manifests in another accident that separates you from the group. In the Dark Shrine, the first boss you face isn't a stranger but Sakuko, your friend who helped with ritual duties at her family's shrine, now transformed into a grotesque Miko-like creature with a solar halo, a twisted corruption of her religious role as Shrine Maiden. Her grief and jealousy over your impending marriage manifesting as violent rage against what she sees as abandonment. Sakuko has relied on you as her only anchor in life, and your acceptance of a traditional marriage feels like the ultimate betrayal. She cannot understand why you would choose to disappear into conformity when she needs you to stay yourself. Fox Mask reinforces this by swooping in to save you from death at your friend's hands, framing Sakuko not as a grieving friend, but as a manifestation of impurities that must be cleansed before you can enter sacred ground. His words reveal the insidious logic of conformity. Anyone who challenges your transformation into a bride is recast as corruption that must be eliminated, not a person with valid feelings about losing you. When you wake from falling down the stairs, Shu runs to help you up. Rinko reminds you it's an accident, but you know the truth. You keep silent for the sake of maintaining this fragile alliance against the adult world. Another compromise. Another moment where you swallow your anger to keep the peace. You explore the mountain path northwards to Shu's house. You eventually find a lake, then follow the lake path and trek through a set of staircases heading to a signpost and a locked gate. You encounter the fog monster once again upon descent, which means you have to run through the lake path and the small bridge once more, this time avoiding the fog monster's infection along the way. You eventually reach the gate, and after a cutscene, the fog monster stops. However, the escape isn't over, as you eventually get ambushed again by the monster. Each time you black out, whether from exhaustion, attack, or the red capsule's effects, you're pulled back into Fox Mask's domain. These aren't random occurrences, but a pattern of increasing control, with Fox Mask using every moment of vulnerability to reshape you. Fox Mask convinces you to kill Shu, Rinko, and Sakuko to let go of your childhood. In the Dark Shrine's twisted logic, these aren't murders but sacrifices, necessary steps to free yourself from earthly attachments. Rinko appears in Dark Shrine Worship Hall locked behind the cage, where you drop her in the molten lava. Prior to her death, she mentions you betraying Shu, likely due to your marriage with Fox Mask.
Just for once. Think about how he feels. You're a traitor. You played with his heart. Say you're sorry. Get on your knees and beg for forgiveness. Can't you hear me?
Then you encounter Sakuko in her human form left in a cage. She's scared of being alone, as she is used to having you by her side, her rock. You turn your back on her and let her die.
I don't want to be alone. Wait, please don't go! We promised to stick together, you traitor!
Finally, you find Shu. All he wants is for you to make a decision. He is strung up in the rafters, awaiting his impending death. Even in the end, he is always respecting your choices in life. Without hesitation, the conforming version of you ends Shu's life.
I wanted... It's alright. Whatever the outcome, I'll respect my partner's choice.
The Dark Shrine versions of these killings represent your psychological severing from these relationships, even as your friends still live in the fog world. You eventually approach Shu's house to the north of the nearby shrine, but find it seemingly locked. You go round the back to open an outhouse and pick up the key as well as some important notes. Among these notes are prescriptions and more red capsules, evidence of Shu's continued attempts to help you through medication. You enter the building, only to find no one inside. You hear a voice coming from outside and open the door, only to get thrashed by an entity. Fox Mask asks you to do 3 trials, the first of which requires you to go through the first floor of the shrine. The first ritual begins with violence. You must fight your way through blade leg monsters to earn your transformation. Your right arm is severed and replaced with a powerful fox arm. The dismemberment happens with your participation. You're not held down and mutilated, but guided through the process of removing your own arm, making you complicit in your transformation. You are literally giving your hand in marriage, signifying your complete surrender to Fox Mask. Your back is branded with a hot iron during the second ritual. To the left of the Hokora shrine is a gauntlet room, where you have to defeat 2 birthing monsters to proceed. Once done with the fight, you gain a new ability, the bestial form. The branding ceremony happens after you prove yourself through combat, suggesting that violence and submission are equally necessary for your transformation. The seal burned into your back marks you as property, but also grants power, the ability to transform into something inhuman when threatened. You accept your fate in this world. You state, "With this, my body and mind belong to you." The top half of your face is sliced off and replaced with a fox mask. This final mutilation happens gradually. First, your human face is removed, leaving raw flesh. Then the fox mask is fitted over the wound, fusing with your skull. The Mask of the Fox Clan allows you to use your focus ability and unlock secret paths, specifically ones that are blocked by a bloodied seal in the Dark Shrine. As the rituals near completion, you confront Rinko transformed into a monster, finally giving both of you the chance to voice what's been festering beneath your forced friendship. You express your frustrations with her evil actions, while she unleashes the hatred she's been bottling up, confessing she wants to erase you from existence and have Shu all to herself. This confrontation becomes unexpectedly freeing. You tell Rinko that if she wants change, she needs to guide her own fate rather than waiting for someone else to choose her, that her jealousy has trapped her in the same cycle of hoping to be selected rather than selecting her own path.
I will scour every last trace of your name from my memory and the world! I want you gone!
I don't deserve any of this abuse! You want to be happy, work for it! Change your best! I never wanted to see you like this, Rinko.
After the ritual, you continue your journey through Ebisugoka, but the transformations accumulate. The fog world and dark shrine begin to bleed together. You start seeing shrine architecture in the town, and fog seeps into the dark shrine. Your two selves, the one resisting in the fog world and the one transforming in the dark shrine, begin to converge, setting up the eventual confrontation between these split identities. Your mother phones you to come home for dinner, while masked Junko, the version from the dark shrine, asks you to make a decision soon. Junko's constant mask and identical appearance across both the fog world and dark shrine reveals that she has already completed the transformation you're fighting against. She no longer has two selves to split between because conformity has already erased her individual identity completely. Her bird-like mask permanently obscuring her face shows she's not a person anymore but conformity's final product, existing only as the dutiful married daughter who now enforces the same fate on her younger sister.
It's nice to see you, Hinako.
Something doesn't feel right. You don't seem like your usual self.
I feel the same. The Hinako I know is still just a little girl. As you are now, you're the one who seems like someone else.
The mundane normalcy of a dinner invitation contrasts horrifyingly with everything that's happened. Your mother acting as if nothing has changed, as Shu isn't screaming for mercy in the background, as if you haven't been fighting monsters and undergoing ritual mutilation. This phone call represents conformity's ultimate weapon, the pretense that everything is normal, that resistance is just a phase you'll grow out of when you come home and take your place at the family table. In the new world of reality, and the dark shrine converging, you return home, but the house itself has transformed, becoming a hybrid space where fog world and dark shrine overlap. The corrupted Shimizu residence becomes a labyrinth of memory and horror. You find apparitions of yourself with your mother and father appearing in the living room. A yellowed calendar appears on the table which must be placed on the wall to advance. These ghostly echoes show different versions of family life, some where you're the obedient daughter, others where violence erupts, all bleeding together in a house that can no longer maintain the facade of normalcy. You confront your shadow self, who declares she will face her fears by killing your friends and family, insisting you must fight to the death to determine which path survives. This version of you has fully embraced conformity, viewing the murder of past connections not as loss, but as necessary purification for your new role as Foxmask's bride. Your shadow fixates obsessively on eliminating Shu, and this murderous focus forces you to confront feelings you've been suppressing. You scream out that Shu is your one and only partner.
We have to fight. You and I. A fight to the death as equals. But all you do is run away. Running and running. He still just treats you as his pal to play Space Wars with, right? Oh, he doesn't even see you as a woman. He's just some guy you grew up with. His death won't matter one bit. You're wrong. He's my friend. He's special. My one and only partner. I won't let you kill him!
The scales puzzle in the second version of the Shimizu residence gives you everything you need right off the bat. There are 5 Kokeshi dolls, and one in particular stands out, being completely headless. The solution is surprisingly simple. Place the headless doll on one side, and then every other doll on the opposite side. This puzzle symbolizes the imbalance of conformity. One person stripped of identity, the headless doll, weighing against everyone else who maintains their faces, their roles, their place in society. After opening the door with the pine tree emblem, you find your friends dead, but you have a new objective: defeat your parents. Your parents have transformed into monsters that reflect their true nature. Your father looks and fights similar to the large enemies you've seen already. His transformation into a common brute reveals how unremarkable his violence actually is, while your mother appears less transformed than adorned. She's essentially herself, but covered in spider lilies, suggesting she hasn't become a monster so much as she's following her monstrous husband, her violence stemming from compliance rather than inherent cruelty. The game mechanics reinforce this toxic dynamic. When one parent isn't attacking, it creates an opening for the other to strike, mimicking how they operated in life, taking turns breaking you down, your father with direct abuse and your mother with her complicit participation, neither giving you a moment to recover between assaults. After a hard battle with your parents, they leave the home as their human selves. You chase after them, but when you open the door, you witness Shiramuku, the fog monster that has been chasing you this whole time, killing your parents. Shiramuku refers to the traditional white wedding kimono, that means white, pure innocence. It represents a bride's symbolic death and rebirth into her husband's family, signifying her readiness to be dyed with their colors and abandon her original identity. The game corrupts this image of bridal beauty into violent enforcement of conformity, with the traditional willingness to be dyed becoming erasure of self. You are now back with Fox Mask, and he gives you a fox brooch to show everyone that you are his. The wolf arm wasn't enough. Your masked sister shows up and asks if you have finished off your human self, insisting it needs to be done soon.
I suspected this would happen. What you are doing is incredibly rude. But then, you should already know that by now. Kill her!
Come on.
This is for your own good. Now die.
You enter the worship hall to meet Fox Mask and begin the ceremony. You transform into Shiramuku, which means you killed your parents, you killed your human self. The monster you've been running from is the future you're being shaped into piece by piece, ritual by ritual. This is when you also realize the wedding had already begun, without your conscious participation. Your transformed self stands at the altar in the Shiramuku dress, ready to complete the ceremony while your human consciousness struggles to break free. Let's now cover each available ending depending on your choices throughout the game. In the Coming Home to Roost ending, the only available ending on the first playthrough, the red capsules Shu gave you have already done their damage. In your panic and confusion, you consume more and more, trying to maintain your grip on reality, even as they tear it further apart. You are so enraged you destroy the altar, but when you turn around you are faced with Shiramuku, your wedding self. The final boss of the game is, of course, a personification of your greatest fears, to become faceless, a nobody, a tool, all draped in marriage robes. The Shiramuku has the ability to create bloody patches of flesh and flowers on the floor. These will ensnare you if you're caught in one, immobilizing you and opening you up to attacks from the boss. Once you get the Shiramuku to its final stage, it will grow a second fox arm. At this point, she will attack much more aggressively, with her regular slashing combo doubling in hits and dealing increased damage. As the fight progresses, your transformed self becomes more monstrous, more powerful, suggesting that the longer you wait to resist conformity, the stronger it becomes and the harder it is to defeat. After defeating Shiramuku, you run out of the worship hall. You hear voices of guests at your wedding, questioning your actions and trying to calm you down. You're surrounded by mounds of pills. The medication Shu gave you is taking over your life. You make it to a dead end with only Shiramuku standing in your way. You hear police sirens, which makes you realize that your quest was all within your head. In reality, a police report reveals that a bride, implied to be your true self, had a psychotic episode at her wedding, leading her to massacre the guests. The fog world, the dark shrine, and the battle between your two selves, all of it was how your drug-addled mind processed the real violence you committed at your actual wedding ceremony.
Hinako 2 to HQ. We've got 2 male victims here. Same female suspect as in the wedding massacre on Route 8. One victim is currently in cardiac arrest.
Kagurocho 1 to HQ. We haven't found the knife used by the suspect at the scene. Chances are good that it's still in the suspect's possession. Better consider her armed. Over.
Attention all apartments. This is HQ. Female suspect is in her 20s and wearing a wedding dress. Height is a little over 160 centimeters. Last seen fleeing Tsuneyoshi Shrine. Believed to be armed and highly dangerous. Exercise extreme caution.
Come in, HQ. This is Kagurocho 1. It appears the suspect was observed consuming red and white capsules at the scene of the crime.
Kagurocho 1. This HQ. Do the capsules match the ones discovered at the wedding venue? Over.
HQ, this is Congracho 1. Affirmative. Collecting capsules that the suspect dropped to.
In the Fox's wedding ending, your human self is destroyed by Fox Mask, and Shu runs in to stop your wedding to Kotoyuki. He realizes that while you love him, you also want to see what the future of marriage holds for you. You wish there was a way to split yourself in two and be with both men. The realization of loss overwhelms Shu, prompting him to reveal the true nature of the medicine he was giving you and his desire to force you to confront your inner self in the process. The red capsules weren't medicine. They were his calculated attempt to sabotage your arranged marriage. His plan was to drug you into instability, make you unfit for marriage to Fox Mask, then position himself as your savior. He never wanted you free. He wanted you dependent on him instead. When this plan fails, Shu transforms into the Tsukumogami, a demon born from discarded objects filled with resentment. He becomes the final boss because he feels discarded when you don't choose him. You beat Shu in battle, causing Shu to relent, and become friends with Kotoyuki. You marry Kotoyuki at the cost of your freedom, while the remnant of your human self cries that she does not want to grow up to be like your mother. The wedding completes successfully, but at a horrifying cost. Your human face is literally left behind on the dark shrine floor, screaming in eternal protest while your transformed body continues as Fox Mask's bride. You've become exactly what you feared, a faceless wife, indistinguishable from your mother or any other.
I'm scared. I'm so scared. Please don't. No, I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared. I don't want to be like my mother. I don't want to become my mother.
The fox wets its tail ending shows you standing up to Fox Mask, rejecting your predetermined fate, your parents' wishes, and Fox Mask himself. You find the courage to assert your wish to live a life of your own, breaking free from the forced marriage. You destroy the altar like in previous endings, but when you turn around, you're confronted with a fox version of yourself. You fight your alternate self, who transforms into Shiromuku, and as you defeat her, Fox Mask stops you in your tracks. He's disappointed by your outburst and can't understand why his love isn't enough for you. Shu then swoops in and knocks Fox Mask back, but the rejection enrages him. Fox Mask transforms into a multi-tailed kitsune, revealing his true nature as a shape-shifting fox spirit and the source of Ibisugaoka's curse, the very deity the town worshipped. In Japanese folklore, kitsune are fox spirits associated with the kitsune no yomeiri phenomenon, the sun shower that represents a sacred fox wedding shielded from human eyes, and foxes hold divine status in Ibisugaoka as gods whose traditions must be honored. Your defiance of the divine marriage, your rejection of the fox god's sacred orders, is seen as a grave disrespect, and divine punishment follows swiftly. Shu realizes Fox Mask is Kotoyuki, their childhood friend. Despite Kotoyuki's aggression, Shu still holds fond memories of playing Space Wars with him and says, "See you later, comrade." Kotoyuki has a somber look of acceptance that he has become a monster and will be alone even though all he wanted was to share his love with you. You run off with Shu down the street, but the street looks the same, gray, dark, lifeless. A radio broadcast later reveals the whole town was evacuated due to volcanic activity, the mysterious gas catastrophe returning to devastate Ebisugaoka. Without the fox deity's protection, the volcanic geysers that once threatened the town resurface with a vengeance. Your freedom comes at the cost of destroying the entire community, and the tragedy serves as a reminder that displeasing the fox god brings catastrophe upon those who refuse their fate.
Geysers have begun to reach approximately 50 meters in height, and over the past 3 weeks have shown no signs of letting up. The water temperatures and concentration levels of the accompanying hydrogen sulfide gas continue to increase dramatically, and the fire has spread to even this location. All residents of Ebisugaoka have been ordered to evacuate. Earlier we spoke with the head of the
In the Ebisugaoka, in Silence Ending, your human and fox selves reconcile, causing Kotoyuki to realize that he does not wish to go through with the ceremony either, and that you are frightened of him. This ending requires certain tasks, one being to not take any red pills. Right when your two selves agree you can both exist, the two beasts, Shu and Kotoyuki's bosses, use their force against you. They compel you both to strangle each other to decide who lives. The two beastly forces are not actually your two potential husbands this time, but rather the embodiment of the ideology of each side's parents. Kotoyuki's father simply wants to wed him and you to preserve his own power over the village's traditions in a way similar to your own father. Both of yourselves defeat the bosses, freeing Kotoyuki from his ancestors' possession and lifting the curse on the town. The true enemy isn't Kotoyuki, but the generational curse of forced conformity itself. You are told that every so often a girl is born with divine abilities, and when she's born, a spell is placed on the heir of the Tsuneki clan to compel him to make her his wife. You are born with divinity, and Kotoyuki is the heir bound by enchantment. After defeating both bosses, Kotoyuki apologizes for his father's behavior. He realizes that he can't go through with the wedding either because he doesn't know if marriage is what he truly wants, since he's been under a spell his entire life. You and Kotoyuki don't fully give up on the possibility of being together, but you put the decision on hold until you can both discover who you are and what you want from life. Both of your identities return to Ebisugaoka, and Kotoyuki moves away. He stays in touch by writing letters, one of which promises that he can restart your relationship when he returns to ensure your feelings for each other are genuine. You've learned to accept both sides of yourself and want to maintain both personas since they both have value. No need to be extreme one way or the other. Eventually, you mention wanting to propose to Kotoyuki after taking the time to think it over for yourself. There are still lingering anxieties around marriage, but it's a decision you've fully thought through, so you're willing to accept the consequences of your choice regardless of whether you'd regret it in the end. The ending shows both versions of you standing in Ebisugaoka, but the town is completely desolate. The interpretation remains ambiguous. Perhaps the gods have cursed the town for your refusal to accept the divine marriage, with the fox god's punishment manifesting as abandonment and decay. Or perhaps, since you took no red pills to receive your ending, you're not in a hallucination state. The fox version of yourself isn't part of the reality world, which could imply you're dead, but finally at peace, existing in a liminal space where both identities can coexist without the town's expectations weighing on you.
It's quiet here, isn't it? No one to tell us what to do or bother us. It's nice, just the two of us. Yeah. Just the two of us to decide where to go. I don't think it's ever been this quiet in Ebisugaoka. It's really beautiful. And it is all ours. Our silent Ebisugaoka. Together.
The UFO ending abandons the horror entirely, revealing the fog was caused by aliens. You prove you're not aliens by revealing embarrassing secrets about each other. Shu admits he remembers when all the girls started wearing bras, earning him a beating. Your parents arrive to take you home, acting strangely and getting details wrong, indicating they might be the real aliens. This joke ending offers escape through absurdity, suggesting that sometimes the only way to survive impossible pressure is to reject the entire framework as ridiculous.
Sakuko first started wearing a bra in the 6th grade, while Hinako and Rinko started after summer break in 5th grade. How's that?
Well, we didn't find an alien. But we did find an enemy to all women.
Hinako, we're heading home.
What about the aliens? Everything all right?
Oh, the neighborhood watch got together and took care of them.
Bye-bye! See you tomorrow!
For dinner tonight, I'll make your favorite Hamburg steak.
Mother, I told you that's Junko's favorite.
Silent Hill F's exploration of conformity reveals the systemic nature of the pressure. It's not one bad father or one possessive god. It's an entire society where every escape route leads to another cage. Your sister escaped through marriage only to become an enforcer of the same system. Your friends who seemed rebellious actually harbored their own conformist desires. Rinko wanting to be chosen by Shu, Sakuko dying the moment she stepped outside her family's expectations. Even resistance itself becomes scripted, with Shu's help being another form of control disguised as liberation. The 1960s Japanese setting isn't just aesthetic but essential for horror. This was an era when women's roles were rigidly defined, when marriage was transaction rather than choice, when individual desire was subordinated to family, honor, and social harmony. Yet by setting the game in the past, Silent Hill F reveals how these pressures haven't disappeared. They've simply evolved, wearing different masks while performing the same rituals of breaking people down and rebuilding them to fit society's needs. The Shiramuku, that faceless bride in white, stands as the game's ultimate symbol. She is what conformity wants you to become: beautiful, traditional, powerful in prescribed ways, but ultimately without face, without voice, without individual identity. Silent Hill F doesn't offer easy answers about how to resist conformity because there are no easy answers. What it does offer is recognition that the pressure you feel is real, that the splitting of self it causes is genuine trauma, and that the monsters you face are accurate representations of what conformity does to people. It validates the rage of those forced to choose between impossible options while showing how that rage, without support or understanding, can become its own destruction. The point isn't that conformity is inescapable, but that escaping it requires you to become monstrous in the eyes of those who demand your compliance. And sometimes, Silent Hill F suggests becoming that monster might be the most human thing you can do. Hey everybody, it's Post-Editing Wick. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to all of you for the overwhelming support in my first video. I was not expecting that kind of reception. I am working on more content like this, and I hope you enjoy watching it as much as I enjoy making it. Again, thank you.